My name is Michael Reed. I'm 32. Every day, my alarm goes off exactly at 6 a.m. I get up, make some strong coffee, and head out for work. My office routine is predictable, just filling out spreadsheets and answering emails until the end of the day. When I get back to my place, I eat something simple, watch a little TV, and get ready for bed. It's a quiet life. Nothing big ever really happens, and every day feels pretty much like the one before. I felt like a ghost in my own life. I'd wake up, work, eat, sleep, but it was all on autopilot. The loneliness was heavy, not because there weren't people around, but because nothing gave me a single bit of meaning. I'd watch people laughing, living, and me, I just existed. It was this hole in my chest, a lack of will that ate me up inside, always asking myself, is this it? Is this all I'm here for? The city outside was a madhouse of noise, swallowing everything, and I was just another speck of dust. My apartment, this soulless box in Upper Kirby, was just part of that mess, closing in on me. People would pass by on the street, rushing, their faces empty or just in a hurry I didn't get. Nobody looked. Nobody saw. It was like I didn't even exist. And that gave me this strange fear, a loneliness that just hurt. The smell of exhaust, the never-ending car noise, all of it seeped into my space, suffocating me. It was a reminder that I was stuck there, invisible, waiting for the next call that would take what little peace I had left. I'd lie there for hours, staring at the ceiling, my mind empty, but it wasn't peace. It was just waiting. The fear just growing. Every silent breakfast, every lost look out the bus window, it became a heavy reminder. I tried to fill the time with the same TV show, scrolling aimlessly online. But the dread of the 3 a.m. call would get to me, steal my breath. The desperation didn't explode in screams. It just stayed there, a knot in my throat, a trapped sigh. I felt watched. Every move I made was a silent countdown. The loneliness of my life was now just a place for this horrible thing to happen. A cold feeling that just took over. Sick of everything, I yelled out at the desolate intersection, drunk for the devil to give me a sign, anything to break the routine. My phone rang right then, a shock. The voice on the other end, calm and polite, said, "I hear your request." I hung up, scared stiff, my heart pounding in my chest. Was this what I wanted? A sign? Some intensity, but not like this, not with that coldness. The fear was real. It just took over every corner of my mind. My empty life now had a purpose. It was just the start of hell. Exactly at 3 a.m. the next morning, my phone buzzed on the nightstand, jolting me awake with a chill that went right down my spine. The voice, the same one as before, whispered calm and polite. "Have you decided what you want in exchange for your soul?" My whole body just froze. Panic felt like a knot in my throat, stopping me from breathing right. I hung up again, hands sweating, the phone almost slipping. The fear was this raw, brutal thing, a terror that now lived inside me, eating me up. The uncertainty of what to give, what he wanted, it suffocated me there in the dead of night. Every heartbeat was a reminder that the countdown was on. The silence after I hung up was worse than the ringing. His voice, so calm, so polite, asking me that. Have you decided what you want in exchange for your soul? That just wouldn't leave my head. It became a parasite. It was stuck in my head, you know? I tried to sleep, but the phrase kept echoing, a cold whisper in my mind, dragging me into this endless despair. Every second was a waiting game that killed me for the next early morning. For 3 a.m. The fear was real, but the doubt about what I wanted, what I'd give, that was what ate at me the most. I didn't know what to ask for, what was worth it. And that loneliness of having to decide something so horrible all by myself, that was the most terrifying part. I tried, I swear I tried, to find an explanation for it. Like, it's a prank call, a bad joke from someone who saw me drunk at the crossroads. But who? Nobody knew about that stupid thing. And the voice? It wasn't anyone I knew. It didn't even sound human. It was so cold and polite. I started wondering if I was losing it. If the emptiness in my life, the routine, wasn't just messing with me. It's just stress, I kept telling myself. But then the phone would ring again, exactly at 3, vibrating on the table, the screen lighting up. I saw it. I heard it. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a hallucination. The fear was real. You could feel it, and it just shattered any logic. Every attempt to explain it away only pushed me further into panic, into the certainty there was no way out, just that agonizing wait for the next call. After those calls, things around me started getting weird. It wasn't anything obvious. You know? Like, I wasn't seeing shadows or hearing voices. It was more subtle. This quiet, strange thing just taking over. Things in my apartment, for example. I swear I'd leave my mug in one spot and find it somewhere else later. Small stuff, but it made me stop and think. My keys, my charger. I started doubting my own memory. The fear didn't stop. This feeling like I wasn't alone anymore, even when I was. I'd look out at the street and feel like someone could be watching me. That the doubt wasn't just about my soul, but about every step I took. The loneliness was heavy, because there was no way to explain any of this to anyone without sounding crazy. Every day was a wait, but now with a new paranoia, just another awful thing. Every sunset turned into a terrible reminder. The light would go, and with it, any feeling of peace. I'd feel the air get heavy, time dragging in a way that just killed me. The clock on the wall, just an object before. Now it was a torturer. Every tick-tock pushing me towards 3 a.m. The fear wasn't just about the ring, but the waiting, the doubt of what would come next. I tried to distract myself, but the shadow of the next early morning was already there, creeping into my thoughts, suffocating me. It was a loneliness that hurt too much. This knowing that every night I'd face it alone, with nowhere to run. This awful thing just wouldn't stop, eating away at my mind, leaving me drained. I had to stop it. I blocked that hellish number, my hand shaking. I thought I'd solved it, that I'd finally have peace. At 3 a.m., my phone rang again, an unknown number. The voice, the same one, asked if I had decided. I hung up on it, the panic suffocating me. I turned off my phone, took out the battery, threw it far away. I thought, now it's really over. At 3, I heard the ring, not from the phone I'd thrown, but from the locked closet, an old radio I didn't even remember having. It crackled, and his voice came out of it. My body froze. I bought a new phone, threw the old one in a street trash can, far away. That's it, I thought. It didn't help. The voice found me, right at 3 a.m. on the new device. Even on the TV, late at night, the sound would change, and I'd hear that cold question. Each time, a gut punch. Proof there was no escape. There's no stopping it, I whispered, cold sweat running down me. Hope turned to dust. It was this thing that wouldn't end, eating me alive from the inside. Next morning, at 3 sharp, the phone rang again. I was already awake, sweating, just waiting. But this time it was different. The voice didn't ask the same thing anymore, you know? It said, "You feel alone, don't you, Michael? That emptiness you carry? I can fill it." My heart pounded. How did it know? It continued, calm, polite, but every word hit like a punch. Your job chokes you. The routine kills you. You dream of something more, a purpose, but you never had the courage to go after it. I know. I see. It was like it was inside my head, like a parasite, exposing everything I hid even from myself. My frustrations, the loneliness I felt, even surrounded by people, the boredom of a meaningless life. It wasn't just a threat anymore. It was a twisted mirror. I can give you what you want, Michael. A life with meaning. Just ask. Fear turned to panic. It wasn't just my soul. It was my mind being taken, tortured. It knew me, and that was the scariest part. It wasn't just the voice tormenting me. Objects were moving, and that was worse. My watch on the floor, glass cracked like it had been stepped on. My bedroom door, which I swore I locked, had strange, deep scratches, like fingernails. Not from an animal. The apartment turned into a hell of hot and cold. 1 minute, sweating. The next, a bone-chilling cold, even with the window closed. I felt a cold breath on my neck, like someone was right behind me, breathing. Noises. It wasn't just the house. Low whispers from the walls, shuffling steps in the hallway. Me in bed, frozen, waiting for 3 a.m. I knew. It wasn't just a call. It was here, with me. Every shadow, the dark circles, turned into deep hollows on my face, which was white, almost transparent. I'd fall asleep, standing up, on the bus, in the middle of a meeting, and always wake up with a jolt, heart in my throat, feeling like I'd lost a piece of myself, or that the voice had whispered something while I was out. At work, it was a complete disaster. I messed everything up, forgot the most basic things. My colleagues looked at me weird, with pity, you know? I'd catch myself answering whispers only I could hear, arguing with the air, looking like a madman. My head ached nonstop, my body was worn out, but my mind wouldn't give me a break. I'd look in the mirror and see a ghost, not me. Thin, scared, with a glint of terror and madness in my eyes. I'm going crazy, I'd think, but then at 3 sharp, the voice would come and remind me that everything was real, and that I was completely alone in this hell. My cell vibrated on the nightstand, startling me. I reached out, shaking. The screen lit up, 3 a.m. call. But it wasn't just the ringing. In the dark corner, a dark kind of shapeless smoke started to form, moving. It stretched into a tall, almost human silhouette. 2 red points, like embers, lit up for eyes. The phone's voice, a cold whisper, came from there, filling the room. I'm here, Michael. Always have been. I couldn't look away. My heart was tearing through my chest. The still shadow watched. The air got heavy. A smell of sulfur and wet earth hit my nose. Panic froze me. I tried to scream, but my dry throat wouldn't let anything out. It wasn't just a voice anymore. It was a visible presence, real, taking over my space and my soul. My eyes burned, unable to blink, scared that one blink would bring it closer. Every fiber of my body screamed to run, but an invisible force held me to the bed. Its red ember eyes burned right through me, seeing every thought, every fear. He was taking over everything. The room, my head, and me. The loneliness that the voice used against me turned into a bottomless pit because I was alone against that thing. There was nowhere to go, nowhere to run. This horrible thing had materialized right there in front of me, and I felt the coldest fear I'd ever felt. This was it. His words hit me like lightning. "Until sunrise," he said. My whole body went cold. A clammy sweat ran down my spine. It wasn't about my soul after I died anymore. It was about the life I had now, being stolen piece by piece, taking my sanity, my memory, my ability to feel joy. It was worse than death, worse than hell. It was living hell right here, awake, not even knowing who I was, not being able to feel anything. The emptiness I already felt would get bigger, turn into a bottomless hole. His voice, once just a bad thing, was now condemnation. I was trapped, no way out, the clock running. Every second was a hammer to my head. What would I give? What could I give? The fear of making the wrong choice was a weight crushing me. Total loneliness, this horrible thing becoming cruel reality. I was almost exploding, alone with this impossible decision, watching the sun start to lighten outside, knowing time was running out. My mind was a battlefield. What would I give? What would I ask for? A life without boredom? Peace? Money? Nothing seemed worth my soul. The sun rose, each ray a stab. Time draining away. The fear of choosing wrong, of giving what I couldn't, choked me. Doubt was a poison, eating away what was left of me. Total loneliness, just me and the shadow, waiting for condemnation. Last time, he didn't ask what I wanted. Instead, that cold voice started describing my life, every single frustration, every regret, like he was reading my mind. He talked about my pointless job, my empty days, that feeling that nothing was worth anything. He said I was already in hell, just without the fire, and that he could get me out. It was clear what he wanted. He didn't want an offer. He wanted me to see myself the way he saw me. The fear, I started walking back and forth, aimless, my head spinning. What he said, it was all true. I was empty. And now, even my loneliness wasn't mine. It was his. I was broken. That emptiness wasn't just in my head anymore. I started feeling it. A strange cold, even with the heater on, that came from inside the walls. And then, things started happening. Small marks, thin scratches, showing up on the wood of my bedroom door. Like something was trying to get out or get in. The fear became physical, something I could almost touch. It wasn't just the voice, it was the presence. After those scratches, the silence became unbearable. There was no more phone ringing, no cold voice, just silence. But it was a heavy silence that choked me. Every sound in the house, every creak felt like a warning. I kept waiting for the voice, but it didn't come. And that was worse. Much worse. The fear of not knowing when he'd show up again. Or what he was doing in that. It was like he was just watching me, not saying anything, just waiting for me to break. The silence screamed in my head, full of everything he knew about me. The marks on the door looked deeper now, like something was pushing its way out. The silence was a weight on my chest, worse than any scream. The phone wasn't ringing anymore. No cold voice, but I felt him. Every creak in the house, every shadow on the wall, it was him. He was just there, watching me, not saying anything, just waiting for me to break completely. Doubt was like poison, eating away at what little was left of me. I felt the heavy air, the loneliness crushing me, knowing he was close. The marks on the door looked like they were breathing, deeper, as if something wanted out. This horrible thing became a silent presence. One night, I dragged myself to the bathroom. The dim mirror light threw the truth right in my face. My eyes, empty. They weren't mine. They were black holes, bottoms of an endless pit. My skin was pale, almost see-through. It wasn't just being tired. It was the face of fear, of the doubt that had me. He was there, in my own reflection, showing me what I was turning into. A ghost. The loneliness, this horrible thing, all lay bare. After that mirror, everything changed. I started closing the curtains before sunset, scared the darkness outside could see me. I'd count my steps to the kitchen, always the same number, like some dumb mantra to not give him an opening. I'd avoid the mirror, but if I caught a reflection, I'd turn away fast, feeling him there. It was a new kind of fear, of everything, of myself. Loneliness pushed me into these rituals, like they could protect me from this horrible thing, from the doubt eating me up inside. He didn't need the phone to get to me anymore. It was the heavy air, the moldy smell that wasn't there, a chill that didn't come from the window. Every step, I felt a stare on my back. Doubt became my air. I knew he was there, invisible, but as real as the fear choking me. Loneliness was just an invitation for him. The marks on the door, which before looked like they were breathing, now seemed to deepen on their own, like the invisible presence was carving them. He followed me, this horrible thing walking with me, eating away at every piece of my mind. I tried to call someone, anyone, but my hand shook so much, I couldn't even dial. His voice wasn't on the phone, but it was in my head, a cold whisper telling me not to bother. He isolated me. Nobody came here anymore, and I couldn't leave. The marks on the door, now deeper, looked like a warning, a seal on my prison. Loneliness turned into a wall. Fear, doubt, the feeling he was everywhere. This horrible thing. Everything locked me in. There was no going back. My life wasn't mine anymore. Every day was just waiting for the next one. An empty routine of panic. No more work, no friends, no plans at all. He stole everything, left me here, a ghost in my own home, just waiting for his next move. The doubt of when he'd act again was the worst torture. No end in sight. I was just a body, trapped. my soul already half gone. He had taken over everything. This horrible thing became my new normal. Loneliness, a bottomless pit. My name is Ethan Miller. I'm 30. My routine as a senior systems analyst at Veridian Tech Solutions was always the same. Wake up at 6, coffee, check the news, head downtown to the Loop for work. I spent my days going through code, meetings, grabbing lunch at the corporate cafeteria with colleagues. Then, the L train back home. Quick dinner, TV, and bed, ready for the next day. It was a cycle that never ended, and I didn't see the point in any of it. But behind that routine, the depression was just eating me up inside. I just wanted it to stop, and I whispered that I'd give anything to make it all end. Then a shadow appeared, and a quiet voice told me, anything is a very broad term. The pain vanished right then, but the cost, oh, the cost. Every single person I loved, everyone who cared about me, met a horrible, unexplained end. The fear of loving, of being loved, turned into this cage for me. It's tough, a loneliness I didn't choose. I remember my mom, my brother, my first love. That promise still haunts me. I am the Miller's bane. I am the Miller's bane, you know? I tried to create a safe place, somewhere no one could find me, where I could hide. My apartment in Lincoln Park became that, empty and silent. No one comes in here anymore. The photos on the walls are just memories of those who are gone. It's the only way to not hurt anyone else. But the loneliness, it weighs too much. It's something I can't get out of my head. This loneliness I didn't choose is the cost. My apartment is just silence, and the loneliness suffocates me. The urge to have someone near is almost unbearable. A smile, a silly conversation, the touch of a friendly hand. Things I can't have because I killed them. I remember the new neighbor knocking on the door just to offer a welcome cake. A simple kindness. My heart tightened. I wanted to open it, to feel some human warmth. But the image of my mom, my brother, the freak accidents, the fear is stronger. It's agony to want what I know will destroy. It's like being trapped. The shadow, it didn't disappear. It's not something I see, like a person. It's more of a feeling. A cold that isn't from the room. A weight in the air, you know? Especially when the loneliness hits harder, it feels like the quiet entity is there, watching. As if anything, the imprudent commitment, is still echoing, constantly, reminding me of what I did. The dread that it's always near, invading me without a sound, is what consumes me. It's like what I've been through breathes right along with me. The shadow, it didn't disappear. It's still around. There's a cold that's not from the room, a heaviness in the air, especially when the loneliness really hits. It feels like it's just there, watching, like the promise is still echoing. And now, there's something else. I found a charm, small, dark metal with a symbol I don't recognize. It was on my nightstand, where it's never been before. I live alone. Nobody comes in here. Where did it come from? There's no explanation. It sent a chill down my spine. It's like the shadow left a physical mark, something even more real. Everything I'd lost rushed back into my head. It's a horrible reminder of what I did. Of the anything I whispered. Loneliness is already a prison, but this thing, it's like the prison walls are closing in, even tighter. After finding the charm, The silence in the apartment changed into something else. It wasn't just emptiness anymore. I started hearing things. A whisper. It wasn't loud or clear. It was like it was inside the silence. You know? A voice so low, I could barely make it out. But it was there. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It didn't say anything I understood, just a drawn-out sound, almost a cold breath. I felt an icy fear. It was the shadow. I knew it. That same soft tone from the promise, now haunting me again, reminding me of the anything I gave. Not knowing what it meant was the worst part. It was like my solitude was being invaded again, but in an even more personal, more terrifying way. Everything I'd been through came back, heavy. The whispers got clearer. One night, lying in bed, I just wanted it all to stop. That's when I saw it. It wasn't a shape, just a spot darker than the dark itself, right in my bedroom doorway. The shadow, it was just standing there. A cutting cold swept over me, different from anything I'd ever felt. My heart pounded, beating hard in my chest. It was proof that the promise wasn't just a memory, but a constant presence, invading my solitude, my last safe place. Everything I'd lost choked me. It was it, reminding me of the anything I gave. That cutting cold I felt when the shadow showed up, it didn't leave. Now, it just stays. It's not like regular winter cold, you know? It's different. It's a cold that gets into your bones, but it's not from the AC or an open window. It's like the room temperature just drops suddenly, for no reason. And it's not just in the bedroom. Sometimes I'm in the living room or the kitchen, and I feel this icy wave pass over me. It gives me chills from the back of my neck all the way down my spine. It's its presence. I know it. It's the promise, reminding me it's always here, invading everything. I feel a fear that doesn't let go, and the loneliness is icy now. The cold from the shadow just wouldn't leave me. Then one day, I went to check the mailbox. Out there on the wooden gate, I saw it. Scratched into it, like with a nail or a branch, was a symbol. The same one from the charm. It sent a chill right through me. Nobody came into my yard. It was her, the shadow, a clear message, something way more personal. The fear of not having any safe place left, of being watched all the time, just suffocated me. Everything I'd lost, the loneliness I thought I controlled, it all just crumbled. The promise reminding me it was everywhere, even right at my door. After the gate, I started seeing things. Small, quick things. Like I was doing the dishes, and in the reflection of the dark window, for a split second, I swear I saw a shape. It wasn't mine. It was darker, taller, right behind me. I blinked, and it was gone. It happened again. In the bathroom mirror, I went to brush my teeth, and in the reflection, for just a second, the same dark smudge, like it was just there, watching me. My heart pounded every time. It was the shadow. I knew it. It wasn't just watching me. It was showing itself, reminding me of the promise, of the anything I gave. The loneliness was now like a mirror that only showed me what I was going through. After seeing those things in the reflection, the shadow wasn't content with just watching me anymore. The whispers, which used to be just a cold wind in my head, started to change. One night, I was trying to sleep, but the silence was just too heavy. That's when I heard it. It wasn't a dragging sound anymore. It was a voice. Low, soft, the same one that made the promise, but now clear. It said my name, Ethan, and then other words like remember. It felt like it was coming from inside me, but also from every corner of the room. I felt such a huge dread. It was like it was talking right to me, not just near me. The words were few, but loaded with meaning I knew too well. Anything, it whispered. And then, a sound that seemed like a laugh, but without joy, just a chilling echo. It invaded everything, not just my space, but my mind. Everything I lost, my mom, my brother, it all came back full force. The loneliness, which I thought was my protection, was now just a place for it to do its thing. I was trapped, hearing the proof of my mistake. After that voice, that cold whisper, not just my mind, but the whole room turned into a mess. Things kept moving around, making no sense. I couldn't ignore it. First, weird, twisted shadows danced on the walls. They made faces I didn't recognize, ugly ones, and sent a shiver down my spine. My stuff showed up in odd places. A dented toy car, one I swore had been in the attic for years, just appeared on my nightstand. My mom's picture, the one I turned face down so I wouldn't hurt so much, was facing me again. Her smile that used to calm me now felt like it was judging me. It was like the thing was mocking me, using my most prided stuff to make me lose it. Every day, more strange symbols showed up. Deep scratch marks on the wood that weren't there before. Water drops that looked like dried blood on the floor. A creepy sign. I felt my head getting attacked, bit by bit, and I was falling apart. I started doubting everything, even my own memory, and if I was going crazy. Loneliness became an even crueler prison, where the only company was this madness it brought me. I didn't know what was real anymore. The shadows in the room were already driving me nuts, but nothing prepared me for when they didn't just stay on the walls. One night, couldn't sleep in bed. The faint street light barely made it in, leaving the room dark. That's when I saw it. It wasn't just a quick blur anymore, or a dark stain, it was a clear shape. In the corner, near the closet, the darkness got thicker. Suddenly, it moved, not like a normal shadow. It rose up from nothing, getting bigger and more present. Tall, taller than me, and thin. A black mass, no face or clear outlines, but with a real weight in the air. I couldn't scream or move. My body just locked up with fear. Frozen solid with terror. All I could do was stare. The thing slid towards me, slow and agonizing. With every inch, the icy touch carried the weight of the promise. That anything I'd said years ago. It was the real proof, something I could feel, that it wasn't madness, but the heaviest thing inside me, the loneliness that was eating me alive. The icy touch burned, not just my skin, but deep inside. My head screamed to fight, to run, but I had no body. I tried to move a finger. Nothing. My muscles locked. Useless. Terror paralyzed me. I forced, with all my will. I wanted to push that dark thing away, to scream. No sound. My mouth wouldn't open. My body felt like lead. The shadow didn't hold me. but I was stuck in concrete, sinking. That touch sucked everything, my strength, my hope. I felt that despair again, the one that made me whisper the promise years ago. It was a fight, but only in my head. Outside, I was a statue of what I lost, mixed with this invasion, leaving me breathless, groundless, empty. I just wanted it to end, but knew it never would. Suddenly, horrible clarity, not just cold. The shadow dumped everything into my mind. My mom, my brother, all gone. Not memories, but certainty. I caused each end. Not bad luck, me. My wish, that desperate whisper in my depression. The anything I said. The soft voice didn't lie. Price, connection, love. Every affection a lit fuse. The shadow, merciless, snuffed it. Not punishment or anger, but the deal, the promise, a cold trade. End my pain for living alone. Solitude wasn't just happening. It was the condition. The only way to stop more deaths. When the shadow pulled away, the cold left, but the emptiness stayed. No more fear or uncertainty, just a cold, horrible acceptance that settled in. I realized I was the miller's bane, the very thing that destroyed anyone I loved. There was no more fighting it, no more trying to run. Solitude, which had felt like a punishment, was now the only way to protect, not myself, but everyone else. I had to accept this reality, accept my life would be exactly like this, alone, forever. This was my final confrontation, not with the shadow out there, but with myself. I made the choice, and now I was living the price. There was truly no going back. After that confrontation, the old fear was gone. The uncertainty vanished, but it wasn't a relief. It was just a cold acceptance, an emptiness that clung to me. I knew what it was, what I was. Solitude became my only company, not by choice, but by obligation. Each day was just another day of silence, of empty walls. Nobody could get close. The promise was there, in every beat of my heart, reminding me the price was the life of anyone I loved. It was a relief, yes, but a cold one, without hope. Solitude became my only company, not by choice, but by obligation. Each day was just another day of silence, of empty walls. Nobody could get close. The promise was there, in every beat of my heart, reminding me the price was the life of anyone I loved. It was a relief, yes, but a cold one, without hope. So I started my own ritual. There were no candles or magic words. It was just about keeping everyone away. I forced myself to push away anyone who tried to get close, to cut any ties before they turned into love. It was a constant pain, something I did to myself, but it was the only way not to be the bane that destroyed everything. Living like that, not knowing what would happen, and always scared, became my new depression. Living like that, not knowing what would happen, and always scared, became my new depression. Looking in the mirror, then, was a punishment. I saw my face, but it was the bane, the curse walking around. My eyes, once filled with a depression that ate at me from the inside, now held a different fear, a cold emptiness. It was the look of someone who knew they were cursed, who carried death to anyone who came close. I saw myself and felt disgust, a guilt that wouldn't end. The solitude I imposed was the only protection. The shadow of the promise was there, reflected, reminding me of the price. I had to get used to the idea that there was no future for me anymore, at least not one I could share. Every silly dream I had, of having someone, of building a family, of living a normal life, all of that was gone. I said goodbye to those things in silence, every day. It was a different kind of loneliness, not just from having no one, but from knowing I never would. The fear of hurting was stronger than any desire to have. It was something that got to me, a depression that wouldn't even let me dream. This silence around me wasn't just the absence of noise. It was the absence of life, of laughter, of any voice but my own. It was the sound of the promise being fulfilled day after day. My home became a place full of memories that would never happen. The solitude was so heavy, you could almost feel it. There were no more plans, no more hope. Just the emptiness of a life I had condemned to nothingness myself. It was proof of my new depression, something that showed up in the absence of everything that made me human. The fear of breaking that silence was the only thing keeping me alive. The fear of breaking the silence just ate at me, leading to this new kind of depression. So I wouldn't be the miller's bane. I changed everything. My work hours, my grocery routes, even how I walked down the street. I turned off my phone, avoided eye contact with anyone. Every step felt like a sacrifice, a constant escape. The empty sanctuary turned into a cruel routine, a way to keep death away from other people. It was the only way I could live, trapped by my own choice. The solitude was a shield, yeah, but it didn't protect my mind. Memories of my mom, my brother, before, they were just pain, a longing that squeezed my chest. Now, it was pure horror. I'd catch myself reliving every happy moment, but seeing it all wrong. Seeing the quiet entity that pulled me out of depression right there, present, in their last moments. It wasn't just the loss anymore. It was a guilt that just crushed me. I was the miller's bane, the reason for everything. Every laugh, every hug they gave me, it turned into poison I'd given them myself. Their love for me, that's what caused it all. I became the monster I was afraid of, trapped in this whole mess. The quiet entity didn't show itself with scares anymore. It wasn't something I saw, but I felt it. It was a cold that wouldn't leave, even with the sun hitting the window. A heavy silence, one that swallowed any noise, leaving me deaf to the world. It was a constant presence, a weight in the air, the guardian of the anything commitment. A constant reminder of my new life, of my forced, empty sanctuary. It was like what I'd gone through was breathing right next to me, watching me forever, part of me now. This whole thing didn't just stay in my head, you know? It moved into my body. I don't sleep right, just really vivid nightmares about Mom and my brother. The freak accidents. I wake up tired, my head pounding non-stop. Any sudden noise makes me jump out of my skin. My heart races all the time. Anxiety has just become part of me. It's like the miller's bane has marked me inside and out. A map of the pain. One day, the empty sanctuary I'd built almost fell apart. The doorbell rang, and it was a new neighbor, smiling, holding a welcome cake. I'm the new neighbor, she said, holding out her hand. My heart pounded. I felt this panic that came from deep inside. I didn't just see her, I saw my mom, my brother, their faces showing up in hers, like ghosts. The certainty hit me. If I accepted her kindness, she would be the next victim. "No, thank you," I stammered, my voice rough, my eyes empty. I closed the door before she could say anything else. The pain of rejecting her kindness was huge. I felt like a monster, but the fear of loving, of being the miller's bane that destroys, that was a much bigger, definitive terror. After the neighbor, something shifted. There wasn't any fight left. It just clicked. You know? There's no way out, no cure for this miller's bane I've become. The anything commitment is eternal. The empty sanctuary is forever. I don't look for hope anymore. I just accept it. My life is a punishment, empty, but with this strange peace. Nobody else will suffer because of me. It's the end of everything. The damnation.